Hey, Micah here with your Week 4 Capoff video from my SEC blog. Had a couple misfires this week. I only missed one game, but a lot of my scores were really off. I'm still sitting. I'm sitting at 32-6 right now with an 89% correction rate. But I got to get these scores down better. But the SEC is starting to shake up, and everybody's starting to get in their positions as we get ready to get to the meat of the SEC schedule in Week 5. First game I'm going to look at, La Tech, Mississippi State. I picked State to win 42-10. Looked real sloppy against a La Tech team that had the youngest player in college football history start at quarterback at 17 years old. And they took Mississippi State down to the wire in overtime. But they finally lost to the Bulldogs 26-20. Mississippi State barely pulls out the victory. Florida and Kentucky. I picked Florida to win 45-0. They beat the young Wildcats 48-10 as the Gators get ready to play the Alabama Crimson Tide at the Swamp this weekend. Kentucky still struggling. Joker Phillips really looking for a formula for them to actually get to a bowl season this year. The way they're looking, it's not going to happen. Florida red hot right now. Their offense looking real good under Charlie Weiss. Running back duo of Demps and Chris Rainey. It's almost unstoppable. But I'm pretty sure Nick Saban's got something up his sleeve for those two running backs. Then you have Georgia and Ole Miss. Ole Miss, Houston up, pulling out all of the stops to try and beat the Bulldogs. I picked Georgia to win 35-0. Georgia wins 27-13. Georgia, they still struggling, but they're trying. You'll see them in a bowl game at season's end, but consider this a middle tier to a lower tier in the SEC team. Florida Atlantic and Auburn. Auburn playing their sloppiest game before going to play the Gamecocks in Columbia. Picked Auburn to win 45-24. They beat the Florida Atlantic Owls 30-14. Real sloppy. Their defense looking for answers. Their offense sloppy. And this is supposed to be an offensive team. A defense has got to find answers, and we got to have some playmakers step up on both sides of the ball. Michael Dyer looking good. They're planning to give him more running room and give him the ball more. See if he can get us some yards and more touchdowns. Then you got LSU West Virginia. I'm really proud of this pick. I picked LSU to win by 3 touchdowns at 35-14 game. They win 47-21 in a real good game. LSU just showing their dominance and finally picking up the #1 well-deserved ranking in the AP and coaches poll. Then you have Arkansas and Bama. I picked Bama to win 35-24, and they ended up winning 38-14. Arkansas, real one-dimensional without Nile Davis. Tyler Wilson looking like a good passing quarterback, but this Alabama defense is in a very, very close second to the LSU defense. Then we have Vanderbilt and USC. My only miss for the week. Bandwagon jumped on the Vanderbilt bandwagon. They ended up losing 21-3 when I picked Vanderbilt to win 17-13 over South Carolina. The defense is red hot for South Carolina. Their offense, more like ice baby. Steven Spurrier throwing 4 picks, looking for some answers against the weakest defense in the SEC in Auburn. Both teams played a real good game. The only thing separated them was Larry Smith getting an injury and that offense just being shut down. Also, in my Week 4 Cap-Off video, I'm going to start ranking the SEC teams from here on out. #1 is going to go to LSU. They've proven themselves to be the best team. They played the teams they needed to. Alabama's real close second, but yet again, the difference is LSU has proven their #1 ranking. Bama has not. And until LSU struggles or loses, they're going to stay #1. #3 is Florida. They're red hot, undefeated, and they're going to take on Alabama this weekend with a real good defense and a very aggressive offense. #4, I have South Carolina. This defense is still real good. The offense has got the playmakers in Marcus Lattimore and Ashlon Jeffrey, but Steven Garcia has got to get it together if they expect to win any championships. Next, you've got Arkansas. Very good offensive team, just didn't stand a chance against this defense being a one-dimensional team. Arkansas will beat a lot of SEC teams. Just don't expect them to be beating LSU or Alabama anytime soon. Next, I have Georgia. This team's struggling, but this team has got a lot of playmakers. Mark Richt has got to get it together. They need one marquee win against a good team, and this team can still be a dark horse in the SEC East. Honestly, the East is up for grabs between Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina, and maybe even Tennessee if they can right some wrongs. Speaking of which, next team after Georgia is Tennessee. This team's real good. Tyler Bray, a very good quarterback. Very good, but they've got to get a running game, and their defense has got to step up and make plays when they're needed. Next, they have Auburn. This team's got a lot of playmakers. They just need to step up and make the plays during the games if they expect to beat anybody, especially South Carolina this weekend. Next, I have Mississippi State. Mississippi State, surprising a lot of people. A lot of them picked them to be real good. This team is Mississippi State and will remain Mississippi State until they upset a big SEC West school and are expected to win. Until then, this team is going to remain in the lower tier of the SEC. If they want to step up to the elite status, they got another year or so to go and a lot more recruiting. For now, this is where they're going to stay. Then I have Vanderbilt. This team, I had a lot more hope for this team, but after South Carolina and they lose Larry Smith, this team's not going to go anywhere. Still, I have them picked to go to a bowl game, but they're still going to be a bottom-tier SEC team. Yes, this Vanderbilt team is good, but not good enough to stand up with the rest of the SEC schools. And then, of course, Ole Miss, struggling really hard. Houston Nutt starting to feel fire. The athletic director at Ole Miss is starting to feel fire down at the Grove. If New Miss has to get to a bowl game, they got to win a few games, and they have got to stop turning the ball over, and they have got to stop getting plagued by injuries. And then, of course, at the bottom is Kentucky. Offense is terrible. Defense, struggling, trying to hold up where the offense can't handle. It's this team, there's just not a lot of hope right now in a rebuilding year. Joker Phillips wanting to get to a bowl game, he's got a lot of work cut out for him. Well, this is Micah Brockway. I'll be back with your next video in a little bit, making our picks as we get ready for Texas A&M and Arkansas tonight. This is Micah Brockway signing off for Week 4 in the SEC Capoff video. SEC.